as promised, I said I would do some of these little kind of pop-ups for us to just to give you some more knowledge on yoga practice, some little kind of regular routines that we can get into. And I'm going to do another breath one today, pranayama. So when we practice pranayama, we could do it lying down, you could do it in a chair, or you could even be leaning up against the wall. I'm pretty comfortable sitting, but to make it even more comfortable, when we sit, we want our knees to be about in line with the hips or a little lower. So some people will often, you'll see them sit where their hands aren't quite right, where the knees are down lower. Also, I quite like just taking a blanket, rolling it up, so that supports in under my shins, and that gives me a really nice resting place. So pranayama uses the breath to expand or flow the prana into our cells and into our energy lines or energy channels. We use the breath to expand the lungs, and also it can become quite a meditative process because we're usually needing to use a count or to think about the breath rather than to let the mind wander off. There's a book called The Heart of Yoga, and in there he talks about by a guy called Desikachar, who is one of the kind of biggies of yoga, who brought yoga into the West. He talks about when we feel stuck or depressed or kind of lacking drive, that often it's because we've got too much prana outside of our body and not enough inside. And the reason it's outside is that it's taking up rubbish or worries or stresses, taking up too much space in our inner body, and there isn't room for it. So pranayama uses the breath as a tool to clear away this rubbish and to create space so that we can feel vibrant and healthy. It's also calming depending on the type of breath that we're doing, and we're going to do a calming breath today. Feels like there's a kind of a high energy in the world at the moment with a lot of the things going on around us, and it's hard not to feel that, even though we're feeling pretty cozy here in New Zealand. So the breath I'm going to use today is called Sama Vritti breath. So even wave, that means. So Sama means even or equal, Vritti means wave, so or fluctuation. So we're going to work with an even inhale and an even exhale. There's a few rules. We're also going to do some breath retention, which I'll offer to you, but you may or may not take them depending on what's going on with your body. So there's a few rules around pranayama. It is a really powerful practice, and you need to treat it with respect. So we never ever force. So I'm going to offer a length of count, but if that length of count doesn't feel right for you, you drop that down. And the ways you'll know, a bit like when we're in our yin practice or our yoga practice, is that the body will start to tense around the breath, that you'll find your shoulders will creep up, the jaw will grip, and we want to feel pretty soft and comfortable while we're breathing, even though we are creating some expansion. So we're going to even inhale and even exhale at a set count, but if that count doesn't work for you, we're going to just modify that to work. So whatever your breath is, I'm going to offer a count of 4. If you have more capacity than 4, then for sure take 5, take 6 counts to inhale. If you have less, take 2, take 3. We'll do that for a few cycles, and then we're going to offer retentions, what they call kumbhaka. So we can retain on the inhale and we retain on the exhale. So you don't retain if you're pregnant, you don't retain the inhale, you don't retain if you've got high blood pressure, or if you've got any heart conditions or anything like glaucoma, don't retain the breath on the inhale. And if you have low blood pressure, don't retain on the exhale. So probably for today, until you get into the swing of pranayama and this kind of Sama Vritti practice, that I would say if you have any health issues or anything going on that I mentioned, then I would just, instead of doing the breath retention, just do again the inhale and the exhale and work on that breath. Okay, So find your comfortable position, whether it's on a chair with your back supported, whether it's against the wall. We're always looking for the hips, shoulders and ears to be in line so that we've got this really long, clear line through the body. We're most open through the lungs. We can do this lying back, but for today, we'll do it seated. The crown of the head is just floating above the shoulders. I want you to just gently draw the front ribs in and then gently draw the shoulder blades towards each other on the back body. So you feel this kind of widening across the front of the chest, and we're looking for expansion in the lungs, so we want the lungs to be nice and open in the front body. And then just take a couple of clearing breaths, so breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth a couple of times. You can sigh, you can let it go. When we do our Pranayama breath, we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So just a few cycles, just to settle in, just to inform the body that we're about to start something. And then just either closing the eyes or really soft eyes, so the gaze is down and you're not kind of looking at the periphery. I want you just to soften and drop the eyes. So they could be closed or just very soft. And we're going to use the count of 4. And as I said earlier, if 4 feels too much, then drop it back to 2 or 3. If you've got more space, then take it to 5 or 6. But for today, I'm just going to use 4. So let the exhale end. And then we'll start the count of 4. I'm going to let you count your own 4 in. So in for 4. And then out for 4. In for 4. Gentle tone on the abdominals. Out for 4. In, breathing in for your count. And out, breathing out for your count. Notice for you that there's no tension arising, that the chin isn't sliding forward. Keep the back of the neck nice and long, the crown of the head's lifting. Breathing in for 4 and out for 4. You can count the breath and follow it in. Count the breath and follow it out. If you lose your count or the mind starts wandering off, don't worry about that. Just let that go and then come back to the breath. Start again or take a pause. Just 2 more cycles. And at the end of your next exhale, just keeping the eyes soft or closed, just let go of any count of the breath and just observe This is our time to check in and see if maybe you pushed a little hard and the body's feeling a little agitated. Or maybe you got things right, just right for you, and you feel quite calm and soft. There could be a sense of a new vibrancy within the cells, within the tissue. And maybe a little more spaciousness in the mind. And then either you're going to stay with this, if you've got any other conditions that I mentioned, stay with this count in for 4 and out for 4. Or for about 10 rounds, we're going to add the kumbhakas, which is the retentions, where we hold and we hold. So we hold at the end of the inhale for a count of 4, or for the count that we've chosen, and we hold at the end of the exhale for the count that we've chosen. And it changes things a little, so really observe and make sure that this tensing and gripping doesn't happen. And it is a practice, it takes time to get comfortable with this kind of breath. The point is that we want to soften the nervous system into our rest and repair rather than our fight and flight. So if you start to grip and tense and the heart rate starts really racing, then you're probably jumping into that fight and flight mode, which is not what we want. So again, just a natural breath in and a natural breath out, and then at the end of your exhale, then you're going to start breathing in for your count of 4. And you're going to hold that breath in for 4. And then you're going to exhale that breath out for 4. And then you're going to hold that breath out for 4. And it's 1 round, so again we go in for 4. Out for 4. Hold for 4. Breathing in for 4. Pause for 4. Exhale for 4. Holding the breath out for 4. Starting again, finding your rhythm. So if you're not retaining the breath, you're going to do twice as many inhales and exhales as we're doing here. If we're holding, always watching and seeing how the body's reacting and responding. If you lose your way, no problem. Just take a natural breath and start again. Just 1 more round, and then at the end of your breath retention on the exhale, let it go and just breathe naturally. Again, just observing, taking inventory of how the body feels. Do you think you maybe pushed too far? Or are you feeling pretty light and open, centered. And then I also recommend kind of checking in as the day goes on to see if this has had any impact on the rest of your day. And anytime you start to feel a bit disconnected or a bit unsettled or ungrounded, then this is a great practice. And it's nice because we can do it anywhere. It's not something that anyone can really notice. If you were sitting quietly somewhere, just with a soft gaze, you can practice out in the open. So if you're pretty comfortable and just want to stay with this and kind of meditate on how everything feels, then go for it by all means.